Hello and welcome and namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw tells the World Economic Forum at Davos that India will grow at 6 to 8% of GDP in real terms, 10 to 13% in nominal terms over the next 5 years. Donald Trump launches a broadside at Europe in his Davos speech. The US president says it's not headed in the right direction. Green energy focus and mass migration have hurt Europe. European lawmakers vote to refer the just-signed South American bloc Mercosur trade deal to the EU's top court. Germany's Merz terms the move regrettable. The world's biggest Kashiwazaki Kariba nuclear power plant is restored and restarted in Japan for the first time after the 2021 Fukushima disaster. And New Zealand put India to bat first after winning the toss in Nagpur in the first of a 5-match T20 series leading up to the T20 World Cup. Well, first up, it's day 3 of World Economic Forum Summit in Davos. The event has gathered a record number of participants to address complex global, geopolitical and economic challenges. Speaking at a session on Can India Become the third largest economy in the world, India's Electronics and Information Technology Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw said that India is going to grow at a fast pace over the next 5 years.
I can very clearly say that India is going to grow with 6 to 8% real growth and a moderate 2 to 4% inflation and a nominal growth of 10 to 13% with 95% confidence interval in the next 5 years. So that's the kind of growth journey which is there, we can say, with a lot of confidence. And what's working very well is that the entire society is seeing the benefit of it.
Commending India's exports have increased despite tariffs. The minister said that fundamentals of the economy are so strong that it will help the country sail through turbulent times.
Economy, the fundamentals, macro as well as micro, are very strong, and that's really helped us through this turbulent period. Our exports have actually increased despite the tariffs. Our producers are finding new markets. We are growing our export sector in multiple ways. For example, electronics exports has now become the third largest exported commodity out of India, after, of course, engineered goods and petroleum products, which was like unbelievable even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, this was unbelievable.
And the Confederation of Indian Industries, or CII, in partnership with Ernst & Young, hosted the breakfast session on Bet on India, Bank on the Future, what are the enablers, sustainers and challenges? On the sidelines of the World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos with global business leaders. Addressing that session, India's Electronics and IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw said that the Government of India has a clear thought process, focused vision and a strategic roadmap to achieve these goals. The discussions focused on emerging drivers shaping India's next phase of growth, including artificial intelligence, digital infrastructure, manufacturing and supply chain transformation, mobility, energy transition and sustainability. The International Solar Alliance also organized an interactive session at Davos called Scaling Solar Where It Matters. The session focused on India's lessons from rooftop, agriculture and decentralized energy for the Global South. It showcased India's on-ground solar solutions and their replicability for accelerating energy access and development across the Global South. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis said under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Union Minister for Renewable Energy, Maharashtra has transformed the entire energy landscape in just less than a decade's time.
With the vision of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, we decided to entirely shift the agriculture power load on solar, and we started Asia's biggest decentralized solarization plan, whereby every agriculture feeder was separately solarized. We created a new company to supply power to the farmers, and now around 16 gigawatts of power will be generated through solar, through this distributed system, and will complete this project by the end of this year.
Well, this is still unfolding, but US President Donald Trump began his address at the World Economic Forum on Wednesday with a focus on the domestic economic policies of the US and how under his presidency, which has just completed a year, the US is doing much better economically now than earlier. Trump also slammed Europe for not heading in the right direction as Washington's allies push back against his bid to grab Greenland.
Europe go good, but it's not heading in the right direction. In recent decades, it became conventional wisdom in Washington and European capitals that the only way to grow a modern Western economy was through ever-increasing government spending, unchecked mass migration, and endless foreign imports.
And at the same time, Donald Trump has also said that only great power US can defend Greenland. He's also called Denmark ungrateful over Greenland, and we'll get you more on that a little later. But as we've been seeing, eyes of the entire world are now tracking what's happening in Davos this entire week, where the world's most powerful leaders are meeting for this World Economic Forum this year. The mood on the ground is especially tense after Trump repeatedly threatened to take over Greenland, and a new trade war is about to begin. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and is joining me from Berlin to talk about it. Good evening to you, Lars. What can you tell us about the mood in Davos?
Thanks for having me. And while I am actually here in the studio in Berlin, we do have an entire team in Davos too. So my Deutsche Welle colleagues are actually having their finger on the pulse. And believe me when I'm saying the mood in Davos is quite tense. I can't remember a year when such a big story as the ongoing drama over Greenland has broken out so well timed for the World Economic Forum. This topic is taking over everything, for good reason. Again, as a reminder, US President Donald Trump has his eyes on Greenland. He says the US would like to take over the Arctic island, which of course belongs to Denmark. Now, Denmark being a NATO partner of the US, quite obviously other NATO and also EU partners have rushed to Denmark's support and have thus angered Trump even more. Earlier this week, he announced tariffs on all these countries, including Germany. But the EU has reacted fast and announced counter-tariffs.
All right. And how will this trade spat influence tasks and discussions in Davos?
It has frankly taken over Davos entirely. Yesterday saw the speeches of EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and French President Emmanuel Macron. Both were reacting directly to Trump's latest threats that they have called, quote, unacceptable. As for von der Leyen, she says that the status of Greenland is non-negotiable. She calls the US tariffs, quote, a mistake. And she points to the EU-US trade deal that was agreed to last July. She did allow for the fact that the EU and NATO can probably do more for Arctic security. So in total, she's going for cooperation with the US while trying to rein in Trump's wildest demands. As for French President Macron, he has argued for going much harder in terms of trade, advocating for the so-called trade bazooka, the EU's anti-coercion instrument. That would involve not only higher tariffs on certain US products, but it would actually include import restrictions and in some cases even outright import bans for some US products. It would exclude US companies from public contracts, and it would levy tariffs on US software companies. And that would likely do immense damage to the US economy, as it would hit the country's strongest economic sector.
All right, so we'll have to see which way this goes. Thanks for joining us from Berlin, Lars Holter. And at the same time, as Donald Trump's speech has been on, he's also called for immediate negotiations. He's sought immediate negotiations to acquire Greenland, and he's reiterated his conviction that only a great power like the US can defend Greenland. We'll get you more on that a little later. Now, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has given a stern message to the European Parliament as well, saying that the 27-nation bloc must move faster to boost its economy and defences faced with the new world order defined by raw power. Von der Leyen said that the first pillar of EU action in Greenland will be massive investment surge to support its economy and infrastructure. She also said that the future of Greenland is only for Greenlanders to decide.
We are at a crossroads. Europe prefers dialogue and solutions, but we are fully prepared to act, if necessary, with unity, urgency and determination. Greenland is not just a territory in a key region of the world map and a land rich in critical raw materials, a strategic outpost on emerging global sea routes. It's all of these things. But above all, Greenland is home to a free and sovereign people. It is a nation with its sovereignty and its right to territorial integrity, and the future of Greenland is only for the Greenlanders to decide.
Meanwhile, with Trump not ruling out using military force to seize Greenland, NATO members have been mulling over ways to respond. France has asked for a NATO exercise in Greenland and is ready to contribute to it. The announcement comes amid rising tensions as President Trump at Davos has intensified his controversial efforts to acquire Greenland despite substantial European opposition. Also speaking at the World Economic Summit in Davos, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent urged European leaders to avoid reflexive anger over President Donald Trump's remarks on Greenland, saying that they should hear him out at the forum, which is happening as we speak.
Tell everyone, take a deep breath. Do not have this reflexive anger that we've seen and the bitterness. Why don't they sit down, wait for President Trump to get here and listen to his argument? Because I think they're going to be persuaded.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said on Wednesday that US President Donald Trump's critical words on London's Chagos Island deal with Mauritius were designed to put pressure on the UK over Greenland.
From President Trump were expressly intended to put pressure on me to yield on my principle. What he said about Chagos was literally in the same sentence as what he said about Greenland. That was his purpose. And the future of Greenland is a binary issue that is splitting the world at the moment with material consequences. I've been clear and consistent in my position on the future of Greenland. The future is for Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark alone.
And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. US President Trump's envoy Witkoff confirms he's set to travel to Moscow on Thursday to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin for the next round of talks over Ukraine. And on the Football Federation has announced Costa Rica's Amelia Valverde as the head coach of the Indian senior women's team.
The land of forests, nature's hidden jewel. Jharkhand.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, the recently concluded EU-Mercosur deal faces further delay after the European Parliament voted to refer the trade agreement to the EU Court of Justice. As expected, the vote was tight with 334 MEPs in favour of the referral, 324 against and 11 abstaining. The agreement signed on the 17th of January, which will create a free trade area of over 700 million people. The agreement's advocates consider it to be a major opportunity for European industries and a way to bolster the EU's geostrategic position, especially at a time of constant friction with the United States. But it has also drawn outrage from farmers worried about the implications of cheap and lower standard food from South American countries flooding into the European market. Concerned over the delay, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has said that free trade deal needs to come into force on a provisional basis, despite a vote by EU lawmakers to legally challenge it. US President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff on Tuesday confirmed that he will be traveling to Moscow on Thursday alongside Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner for talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Earlier, the Kremlin had said last week it was preparing to welcome Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law to Moscow for peace talks over Ukraine.
To discuss peace in Ukraine and Russia.
And how do you think it will go?
I'm hopeful. Hopeful that all meetings will go well. We need a peace.
Is Mr. Kushner coming with you?
He is, of course.
And are you meeting Ukrainians later?
We are, sir.
The world's biggest nuclear power plant was restarted for the first time since the 2011 Fukushima disaster, according to its Japanese operator TEPCO, despite persistent safety concerns among residents. Around 60% of residents opposed this restart, while 37% supported it, according to a survey which was conducted in September. The facility was taken offline when Japan pulled the plug on nuclear power after a colossal earthquake and tsunami sent 3 reactors at the Fukushima atomic plant into meltdown in 2011. However, Japan now wants to revive atomic energy to reduce its reliance on fossil fuels, achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, and meet growing energy needs for artificial intelligence. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and his Spanish counterpart Jose Manuel Alvarez held wide-ranging discussions this morning on bilateral cooperation and world affairs. In his opening remarks, Dr. Jaishankar spoke about trade, investments, defense, technology, education and people-to-people ties. He also lauded India's and Spain's friendly relations rooted in shared democratic values and respect for multilateralism, as well as the rule-based international order.
India and Spain enjoy warm and friendly relations rooted in shared democratic values and respect for multilateralism and a rule-based order. Our political engagement has grown steadily, marked by regular high-level exchanges. India and Spain will celebrate in 2026, this year, the 70th anniversary of the establishment of our diplomatic relations, as well as the dual year of culture, tourism, and artificial intelligence. This initiative reflects our shared commitment to combining our rich cultural heritage with future-oriented cooperation.
In the meantime, what must be a great source of reassurance to, well, the world and particularly to Europeans, Donald Trump has also said in his Davos speech that the US will not use force to take Greenland, although he has demanded the start of immediate negotiations for the US to take over Greenland, because he says it's only a great power like the US which can safeguard Greenland on purely on a security parameter. Now, if you talk about what happened between India and Spain, well, on his part, the Spanish Foreign Minister termed India as a reliable country. Minister Alvarez said President Sanchez will visit India and hoped that Prime Minister Modi will also visit Spain. The Spanish Foreign Minister also said that Spain will upgrade its ties with India to strategic association, which is the highest level of ties. The Spanish Foreign Minister also backed the early conclusion of the India-EU FTA, saying that it's the right time now.
Very good sign would be the final agreement of the FTA with the European Union that we very much would love to see being put forward finally. It's the right time for that. We will also express our wish of upgrading our relationship to a strategic association that is the highest level of relationship that we have with friends, like is the case in India.
And India and Spain are celebrating 70 years of establishment of diplomatic relations this year. On the occasion, Dr. Jaishankar and Alvarez jointly unveiled the India-Spain logo. And India has completed another major infrastructure project in Sri Lanka under its $450 million post-cyclone Ditwa assistance package. This is the third Bailey Bridge built by the Indian Army's engineers as part of India's recovery support. The project reflects India's commitment to people-centric assistance in Sri Lanka, underlining its neighborhood-first approach as well as Mahasagar vision. The 120-foot Bailey Bridge on the B492 highway was jointly inaugurated by India's Deputy High Commissioner Dr. Satyanjal Pandey and MP Manjula Suravira Arachi, who highlighted its role in improving regional connectivity.
We have moved very fast, very swift, and this is Bailey Bridge inauguration is 120 feet Bailey Bridge. This is third of our bridge which we have done in the wake of post-cyclone Ditwa. The first one was inaugurated by Honorable Foreign Minister of Sri Lanka and Honorable External Affairs Minister of India at Kilinochchi, A35. The second bridge was inaugurated on 10th January by my High Commissioner along with Deputy Minister of Transport and Deputy Minister of Education and Higher Education. And today we have the honor to dedicate the third Bailey Bridge, which connects this region on this highway. This is in series of bridges. We are working with Government of Sri Lanka and we have their full support to make sure that we make the connectivity to the furthest and all the parts of Sri Lanka which have been disrupted by Cyclone Ditwa.
Let's get you some more quick-fire updates from around the world. Storm Harry is bringing heavy rain, snow and strong winds to parts of Spain, forcing the closure of beaches along the Barcelona coast. Authorities activated emergency plans as waves rose up to 2.5 meters, warning residents to stay away from the shoreline. Romans paid their final respects to legendary Italian fashion designer Valentino Garavani in Rome on Tuesday. Valentino's coffin arrived at his foundation headquarters, where mourners gathered in large numbers. People expressed grief, describing the designer as an icon of Italian creativity. The Canary Wharf Winter Lights Festival has returned to London for its 10th edition. The event features 16 light installations by artists from around the world. This year's theme is Dreamscape, with immersive artworks displaying across Canary Wharf. The festival will run until next Saturday. Sports now in India are off to an explosive start in the T20 series opener in Nagpur after New Zealand won the toss and elected to bowl. Despite losing Sanju Samson and Ishan Kishan early, opener Abhishek Sharma has decimated the Kiwi attack, smashing a blistering half-century in just 22 balls. Playing in this 100th T20I, Captain Suryakumar Yadav joined Sharma to stabilize the innings, with the pair punishing both pace and spin. India has now reached 117 for the loss of 2 wickets in 10 overs, maintaining a run rate of, almost 12 runs an over. The hosts look set for a massive total on a flat Jamta track. Now, the All India Football Federation on Tuesday confirmed the appointment of Amelia Valverde as the new head coach of the Indian senior women's national team, marking a significant step in the Blue Tigresses' preparation for the AFC Women's Asia Cup Australia 2026. Valverde has already linked up with the Indian squad in Antalya, Turkey, where the team is currently in camp ahead of the Continental Showpiece scheduled for March. The Costa Rican coach brings with her a wealth of international experience, both at the national and club levels, having built a strong reputation as one of the most accomplished figures in women's football in the CONCACAF region. The Air Force Symphony Band regaled people in central Delhi with their scintillating tunes and music today. The concert Open for All celebrated 150 years of India's national song Vande Mataram. Several versions of Vande Mataram were sung by Air Force musicians, including Agniveers. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code on the screen to download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.